Mankind must put an end to war. A war will put an end to mankind.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Well, I'm not drunk. I learned everything I got.
Change will not come if we wait for someone first.
Hey, Blind Partisan viewers, we are going to have a special episode. I think it'll be fun. We have Nick Mortensen here. He is running for mayor. The important thing is that we got rid of Jacob. I mean, really, that's my goal, is to eliminate the Jacob. We have less Jacob and more Nick. So thanks for being here.
No problem. It's Friday afternoon.
So, yeah, it's Friday afternoon, and we had a hard time getting started because we were, trading some stories.
On.
And
the Scorpions.
And the Scorpions.
We're talking about the Scorps, prog rock.
We were talking about Scorpions. I don't even know. It was a loop, and and I have my sparkling water, so we're not drinking. So
no.
I don't even know how that all happened. So anyway, you're running for mayor.
Buckle up, listeners.
Yeah, you're running for mayor. Why the hell would you do that?
I did it to. Initially, I thought that if I joined the race, that it would underscore just how bad the other candidates were. So, and if I shake somebody out of the proverbial tree.
And so, do you feel like you're successful in that?
No, I didn't. I mean, everybody that I knew was going to get into it has gotten into it, and nobody else has. Kathy Hinkfuss is not gonna.
Okay.
So, it's like, Christ, now I got to continue doing this to at least, because my goal through the whole thing has been, I want to see the best candidate elected mayor, whether that's me or not, immaterial. I just want to know enough about all of the candidates, and I thought if I try to bring some attention to this, they're going to have to let us know something about them, and from that, we might be able to make a good decision, or at least an informed one. And, now it's looking more and more like I'm the best candidate in my own mind, and I've had to take.
That's good. I mean, it's good that you feel that way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I there is no reason a guy like me should be interested in this position at all, let alone the best candidate.
So why do you say that? What's your background that makes you like? Why are you not qualified to do this?
Well, I'm not. It's not that I'm not qualified because you.
Or the last guy. What did you say?
It literally is just politics is just a question of whether you can be elected or not. But really, the question should be like, what's driving you to get into politics? What kind of deep, dark secrets do you have inside of yourself that you think this is going to fill?
And you think you don't have any deep, dark secrets?
No, I mean, I was a comedian. I got rid of all. I mean, whatever hole I had.
They're all out there.
Yeah, whatever God-shaped hole I had inside myself, that I was trying to fill with adulation from strangers. It went away. I mean, I was good at comedy. As you'll find, I'm a fairly funny guy, and I wanted to take it as far as it could go. But there was always something about being a comedian that I was ashamed of. And it was like that I had to be a comedian. That I had to stand on stage, that I somehow needed that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was always pretty reluctant about that. Because I didn't want to need it. But I did.
Right.
And, at a certain point, you come to realization that you sell alcohol. That's all you do. You're just the guy that's talking while people are drinking.
Until a certain level, yeah.
People are drinking, overpriced booze.
Yeah, don't forget to get your 2 drinks.
Yeah, and that's not great. That's a cool thing to do when you're 26 years old. But by the time you're 30, right, you have to come to this really you're working for a man usually that's major life accomplishment is acquisition of a liquor license, right. And it's hard. Especially if you got anything else going on in your life, it's hard to really pay them the proper respects that they need as the guy that controls the stage.
Right.
So I ran into those problems all the time as a comedian, and it wasn't until I just stopped playing clubs and started trying to do small theaters and open for other acts that I really got I got to a point where I was like, oh, okay, I have to either move or I'm not gonna. This is it. And I didn't want to move, and because I didn't love that I liked to do comedy. I thought it was a manifestation of some sort of internal.
You love the frozen tundra.
What's that? Well, yeah. I mean, this is where I'm from, so it's my familiar. I love it in the way that all of Al Swearengen's prostitutes loved Al Swearengen. You know, it's a Deadwood reference. You ever seen Deadwood?
I have.
Okay. Yeah. It was just.
I was hoping you were going to just leave it at that.
Well, I've taken a bunch of abuse at the hands of Green Bay in the course of my life, and I want to think that it's worth it, you know?
Right.
41 years of winter, and, you know, Cuddles the Clown, you know, like, there's been Karen McDermott's run as the Shopko spokesperson. I mean, there's anybody that suffered through Green Bay for the last, you know,
deserves to be mayor.
However long. No, it's just like you got to love it to be here. Otherwise, you know.
Yeah, in my experience, you stay because of family or because of because of the familiar. But I don't know. You've been other places, I'm sure. Like,
yeah, I lived in Madison for 3 years. I
feel familiar other places too. So
yeah, after a while they do.
Yeah, I mean, our country is a lot of the same. Really, surprisingly the same. There might be a mountain in the distance, but there will also be a Walmart.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I'll take Green Bay stupid over anybody else's stupid in the world, because at least I know that Green Bay stupid is unlikely to get violent. If I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas, dealing with that kind of stupid, who knows what's going to happen? I got no feel for what's going on there. Yeah. That's what I like about Green Bay.
The familiarity, and
that I'm probably not going to get murdered by something of my own doing. Like, I want, if I get murdered, I want people to be like, what happened? and not like, what did he do? I don't know who murdered him, but maybe he had a reason, you know?
Right.
Around here, that's, you know.
So you mentioned that you want the best person to be mayor.
Yes.
So what are your feelings on any of our previous mayors?
Well, August Beamer was a hell of a guy.
That was the wrong way to say it.
I'm up on the second floor all the time, so I walk by that whole row of old mayors, and I think, oh, that's how that street got named that.
I gave you kind of a softball there. Yeah.
Well, I thought Jaden was a dummy, and he sort of bore that out. I didn't, it was 16 years ago. I could have cared. 25 years old, I didn't care much about it. I like Schmidt just as a person because he's been nice to me and taken time and given it to me. But I spent the better part of the last 8 months just interviewing heads of departments and cities and aldermen. I'm not through them all yet, but even people from Ashwaubenon and Howard, Swamico, just to get a feel for what they think. And boy, he has made a lot of people angry over the years. I think that's sort of the nature of the beast, but boy.
Is it? I mean, do you think that it's just inevitable after 12 years to do that?
Yeah, I think so. Because you know how he got in trouble for that campaign finance deal? Well, he broke the rules, no doubt about it. But they went after him pretty hard, like he had done something that was, and it might be bad from the sense of campaign, but it's like he was going against Tom DeWayne, man. That guy's a pretty knowledgeable guy, but he wasn't going to win. I mean, he just was, he didn't. The amount of money that Schmidt had to give back, or that he got, over and above what he should have, amounted to about $8,000. So it was stupid to like. He could have easily just gone back to any of those people and said, hey, could you just write me out 5 separate checks from everybody in your family because I can't take $5,000? Right. But, he didn't. He obviously didn't think it was that big of a deal. Or whoever, he didn't get anybody that was looking after that for him. But they really raked him over the coals. I hear all the time about that. That's why I'm not taking any contributions, because I don't want to owe anybody any favors, for one. But people seem to be, and maybe they're not, maybe they're voters, maybe they're not, but they really don't like the idea of people spending other people's money to win the job, you know? And like Tom DeWayne sort of famously only put $10,000 into his last election and almost won, which is, you know, pretty impressive.
So is that the kind of game plan that you're looking at?
You know, I'm running on this idea of the smart cities platform, which if you reduce it all to its generalist term, it means that you can do more with less.
Okay.
So if I can't do with $10,000 what Eric Genrich can do with $65,000, then I don't deserve the job because I'm not the guy who I say I am. So I'm all right with that. I think, you know.
So if I have the math right, are you saying that you can decrease the city's budget by 80%?
Well, I'd like to think that, but well, do you want to get into the nitty gritty of what's going on?
Yeah, I mean,
here now?
so I guess what I would be interested if I didn't know you would be, who are you? Why the hell would you want this job after you
Sure.
said the last guy was raked over the coals, and then how are you gonna actually accomplish it, and what are you gonna do?
All right. Well, we can start with you know who I am. I'm born here, 41 years old, 2 kids, married, 1 and a 4-year-old. Got married 2 weeks ago, so
Congratulations.
living in sin for 8 years. You know, we don't really stand on much circumstance, and she's from New Mexico, and so she's a little bit of a hippie, and didn't know where her Social Security card was for a long time, and I wasn't bothering her about it. So, but we finally did it, and that's my personal life. I've went to UWGB for college as a history major. Graduated in 2001. Not sure. At the time that I graduated, I owed $3 in overdue fines to the library, so I never got my diploma.
What?
Well, I owe them $3, and they won't issue me my diploma until I give them the $3.
That's real true story?
Sure.
Wow.
But
sure.
No, I mean it is. It is.
Okay.
Because I know this because I have the book that you're.
I mean, I'm there twice a week. You want me to just drop off $3?
I've gotten my transcripts from them.
Oh, all right.
Like I know that I graduated, but like I don't need Next time somebody wants to see my UWGB diploma, like I'll be like, well, do you got $3 in a little bit of time? Because it's not. I'm not missing not having it. You know what I mean? Like it's just a piece of paper. I earned it. It's there.
I teach out there.
Oh, do you? Wow.
So just heads up, like we're selling pieces of paper, so don't.
So yeah, the behind.
I'm not going to shrug my shoulders at making signs.
The what's it like being a college?
I love it. I mean, I'm adjunct, and I only
Sure.
I only do 1 or 2 classes a
Hey,
semester.
don't soft sell yourself like that.
I
know.
love it.
Every time I've ever talked to an adjunct professor, they've always had to like you get that drilled inside you, or
because you do, because see, now you're interviewing me. This is great. So when you're out there, you feel like you have to make it clear to students who they're like, doctor, and I'm like, I ain't no doctor. Things like that.
Yeah.
So because certain other people want to be, they want to have lofty titles or something, right? And so they get that drilled. I think it's drilled in on coming that way.
Yeah, those titles, they really matter.
And whatever, I mean, they earn it, and it's great. Yeah. So they paid the $3.
I was thinking, I'm a priest and ordained minister in the Church of Lebowski, and I thought maybe I should play that a little bit. Maybe I should be called like Father Nick Mortensen running for office.
Right.
And it's a title that I technically have. I don't know if it's Father or Reverend or whatever.
Probably Reverend.
Yeah. But I don't. Mr. is pretty hard. The idea of having any kind of honorarium before my name,
no, right?
That's for other people. That's not for me.
I'm like, if you just don't use any derogatory term towards me, that's an improvement for everything else. You could just say hey, and that's usually fine. So like for students, I'm fine with whatever they call me. So
Are you hopelessly old? Do you go and feel hopelessly old all the time?
Well, I went to GB too, so I do. So like I remember having classes in some of these rooms that some of them have been remodeled probably more than once since I've been there.
Oh, really? Gosh.
So I feel, yeah, I mean, because I'm teaching computer science, so everything's changed.
What's the hall situation like there? I mean, that was the one good thing about that college. That was also the worst thing about that college, was that there was underground hallways to walk from building to building.
Great, yeah.
But there was not really much of an above ground campus situation going on.
No,
it was nice in the winter, but it kind of
we have a lot of winter here.
Yeah, it sort of ruined.
It's fine, but like I'm sure, like every other college, everybody just has their headphones on.
Oh yeah, there's that,
including me. Like I'm not criticizing. Like it's just you're just moving from point A to point B with your headphones on. Yeah, there's no hall situation.
Until my last year at EWGB, I was under the impression that everybody knew each other. Except for me, like there was some sort of mixer that I didn't attend, but yeah, I never felt like the whole time I was there. I never felt like it was for me. I never lived in the dorm. You know, I didn't eat lunch.
That kind of a school. A lot of locals, but not just super local, like Manitowoc and the whole area, right? So like yeah, I mean you don't know each other, but you don't live on campus. It is a different place.
Yeah. When I lived in the Capitol Square when I lived in Madison, and so I got to at least see up close that whole college experience. And I'm like, man, I really missed out on that. Like
that's true.
I probably would have just, I don't know. I probably would have just gotten drunk all the time. I never really drank.
So just to recap, who you are?
Oh yeah.
Should have gotten drunk all the time.
That was my.
You still owe $3. Give me some positives.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a deadbeat. $3.
You got any positives?
They got my diploma. $3 is not much for a diploma, but it's. Yes, I paid you a lot of money to take the classes, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get the books that I bought back for very much. $3 is, I don't know.
I pride myself on that. I don't have a book for my class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's pretty.
Yeah. I don't know if I might get in trouble for that at some point. I don't know. Not sure. I'm not sure what the deal is on that.
That would be interesting.
Because every semester they're like, "What books? What books are we supposed to order for you?" And I'm like, none.
That would be. I mean, I always wondered whether there was some like kickback.
No, I mean, I don't think so.
For
I mean, not for me. So I'm like, I don't feel right making anybody buy a $100 book. So,
no, God.
Especially when I'm gonna maybe half use it.
$100 was like 20 years ago. That was like
it's a lot of money.
That was a standard price for a new. Even the used books were like $80. Once in a while, you get like a $160 book.
No, you're right. I think it's more than $100.
Oh my God,
they're terrible.
That was one of the worst things about college, was getting raked over the coals like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was a history major, so you could get every. By like the second year I was out there, I was like, yeah, I figured out the interlibrary loan system. So I could get all the books, but I wouldn't get the proper edition. So I'd always be like 8 pages behind in some book, and I did some reading, but I wasn't sure if it was the right reading. So, yeah, that was
all right.
All right, yeah.
So no, that's fine. It's fine.
College experience.
So the thing is, like, to me, this is about people getting to know you.
Okay,
that's fine. That's fine. So, what holes do you think you can fill? I think that's the phrase you used, even. In you're elected mayor, what are the things you see that are issues that you think you could help with?
Well, when I came back I went to live in Madison to pursue being a comedian, and then I came back in 2011. And at that point, I had worked at Jones Sign Company since I was 12 years old. It was my father's company out in De Pere. And 2011, I came back. The location out in De Pere, we had 110 employees, and as we go into 2019, we have 14 locations around the United States. We have 400 plus employees. And the thing that we did, to my mind, that sort of made for that growth was we started making data-driven decisions. Just that simple. We combined the various databases that we had, integrated the other companies that we bought to come in. And so we were able to make decisions about where to put our resources based on where we knew it was the most profitable areas. So during this growth, we still had profit. And, you get into the whole business intelligence, that kind of stuff. And then, about 5 years ago, there was sort of this movement towards big data. And, it's a buzzword, like now it's machine learning and AI. But I wanted to know about that. And I kind of set about the task of sort of getting the concept of how to do this and how to use that data to make decisions. And we hired a great IT guy who was fully on board for that, and we combined all these databases. And now we have a good operation there that not only makes much better decisions about where we're using our resources, but this is more important than that. And this is where I think I can help the city. We're able to recognize mistakes a lot earlier. And we can just stop them. We can just say, hey, you know what? We spent bad money on this. No need to throw good money after bad. Or we can correct them. And that's the real benefit to having this level of data. And, you look at how the city runs itself. It's through no fault of its own. The municipal entity is sort of a thing that languishes 5 or 10 years in the past. You're a tech guy. I'm a tech guy. You understand that, it's frustrating that they're not advanced, but also, Schmidt's a 60-year-old guy. 16 years ago when he got in office, he was 44. You didn't need it. Do you remember 1995 when you got AOL?
Absolutely.
You could either take a pass on it or get into it. It was really just about how much you wanted to see naked ladies, really, at that point. And he was 44. He probably didn't need to see him as much as I did. So I got interested in the internet. And but he never.
Right.
And so top down, that was never a priority. And you've seen how we're just lagging behind in that respect. And
You think Green Bay is, or all government is?
Oh, Green Bay particularly, but I'd say.
Do you think we lag behind surrounding communities, or
Oh yeah, that's for certain.
Okay, or comparable communities? Because comparing Green Bay to Ashwaubenon maybe isn't a fair comparison. What about Green
You're probably
Bay?
right.
Well, Green Bay to Buffalo, or Green Bay to Grand Rapids or something.
I don't think we'd be nearly as far behind those comps, or the traditional one they use is South Bend, Indiana. It's roughly the same size. I think we would be a little bit behind them just because they've got access to a big university there.
Okay.
But as far as the cities that you said, Buffalo and Grand Rapids,
I don't know. Those come to mind as being similar to Green Bay.
Yeah, I would think that they're just at the same level that we are. And when you're at a level like this, you can do an interesting thing called a technological leapfrog. You don't have to get, you don't have to be 9 years behind every year. You can just jump up to today. Your grandma wants to get an iPhone. She doesn't start at the iPhone 3GS and then work her way up to the iPhone 10. She can just buy the 10.
Right.
And that's what we sit on the cusp of here. If you want to elect me, if you want to elect some of the other guys, they'll probably.
Doesn't it take money though?
Yeah, it takes money, but there's money. There's $106 million in tax revenue every year.
Okay, but they're saying that they need to raise taxes because they have a budget shortfall. They already are pushing through a wheel tax.
The wheel tax is, it eliminates the special assessment, which is a pretty good deal. It feels like nickel and diamond people. I don't like that aspect of it.
Well, because it starts small and it goes up.
Yeah. And I don't like the fact that you can still get charged a boatload of money if they put a sidewalk in front of your house. They could have just tacked down another $10 and had it be, sidewalks and
right.
I would have liked that.
Yeah, I never understood that. I don't understand why that's not part of the budget.
Seems a little short-sighted.
Yeah.
But hey, what do I know, right? I'm just a casual observer like anybody else.
So you're cool with the wheel tax, and you wouldn't make any other structural changes that way?
I'm not cool with it, but it is what it.
So you'd leave it?
I can use it. Yeah.
Okay.
They're already spending that money, in a manner of speaking. They're budgeting for it,
my concern with new taxes, right? Which I know is sort of a bad term, but anything that's added is just another lever that can be raised. So like, oh, we're going to hold this steady, and this is what we're going to campaign on, but we're going to jack these other things up, and everybody's going to get nickel and dimed, like you said.
I think you can
I worry about that.
I think if you give people more, you can charge them more. But I don't think we're getting enough for what we're getting charged right now. And I think that we'd know if we were. And if we were, we wouldn't have a problem. So that, to me, that's what it comes down to.
What do you think about the roads in general? So the wheel tax was passed, not so much for the special assessment, but on the back of people saying we need to fix our roads.
Yeah. The roads are just dog shit. That's...
So they are? Like you think they are? I think that there's varying perceptions.
Do you remember when we were kids where like we had good roads in Wisconsin and Green Bay and it was never even a thought that we had a bad road?
No, I don't, because I remember there being good roads and bad roads. And it depends on where you were in town.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think that's still the case.
Yeah, but...
Like where I live, I think the roads are fine. Where I did live, the roads were less fine.
Take a look at manhole covers.
Yeah.
And you will notice that, the road kind of sags in around the manhole covers. So, like, you can see cars drive. You hear that little... Yeah. That never used to be there. Not to my, recollection. Because we were, using money to work on the roads. I think we were using more. Maybe it was cheaper. Who knows exactly? I mean, somebody does. It's all a matter of public record. I just haven't delved in that far. Okay. But yeah, the roads are an embarrassment. I did an event with Stoyer and Evans the other day, and everybody had to give their elevator pitch. And
so the two other guys are running for mayor.
Yeah, Pat Evans and Mark Stoyer. Pat's on the county board for Brown County. Right. Mark's the president of the city council, and they both did their elevator pitch, and in it they had up. We only usually fix 1% of the roads in the city every year.
Right.
Evans said, Sawyer said he's going to up it to 3.3%. He also said, and then we'll have them all repaired in 30 years. And I was like, do you know about compounding interest? 3%, and then 3% of the 97% that's left. Not good, not a little fuzzy on the math, but cool. And then Evans was like, I'll see your 3.3%. I'll raise it to 3.5%. And I was like, oh boy, should I say 4? Right. Because we'd all be bullshitting to the same degree.
Because there's no money.
There is no money. And the way that we pay for roads is by bonding. Mm-hmm. Green Bay is in $152 million of debt. That's what we've borrowed. Mm-hmm. It has taken our bond game used to be AAA, top notch, top of the pops. Now we're AA1. If we take out any more, we're going to fall further. So we're stretched to the limit. 2019 budget, 20% of what we're taking in is going to service that debt. Mm-hmm. But also in the budget, same amount of money that we're using to service the debt, we're going to borrow. The net effect is next year at this time, there will be $152 million debt that somebody needs to figure out. Now, where that ties into the roads is we bond for road work and road repair. That's precisely the kind of thing that you bond for. And any asset that depreciates over a 25-year period, you can pay for over a 25-year period. We're going to do 3.5% of roads. That means we have to take out more bonds, which means we're going to owe more than $152 million.
So how do you do that?
What's that? You can't. Anybody that says they can is just full of shit.
Okay.
Because what people don't know about is the water infrastructure is much worse than the roads. A little hidden secret.
I don't think it's that hidden because there've been cases where people have had to pay and.
Sure, and this Matt and Brooke Sorensen thing that I think is going to be a big part of the election because they are this embodiment of what's gone wrong in the city, right?
What is that? Explain that.
Matt and Brooke Sorensen are a couple that live on the east side. 30 years old, they got a 4-year-old daughter just like I do, Brindley. And a water valve broke in front of their place sometime around February, and it filled up their basement with water and washed away the underside of the basement, that had soil, and it got into the first floor of their house, 2 inches into the first floor. And this was wastewater, so everything that water touched had to be thrown away. And they dealt with it. They got the water out of their house. They started ripping up carpet and walls, and anything that was in their basement, they threw away. They put it in at the curb, and the city charged them. The city they believe, Matt and Brooke, they believe the city is responsible for the flooding. Anybody with, any heart at all would believe that to be true. I certainly believe it to be true. The city, on the other hand, does not think it's responsible, and they have.
Why did it impact them and not everybody in the neighborhood anyway?
It must have been right outside their house.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's probably other claims that can be made. They're just the ones that got extra messed up from it. So Matt had to, because there was no money coming from the city to help them get their house back in order, he had to take out a terrible loan, an 8%, or 8.5% short-term loan, just to get the house in relatively livable conditions. And they got about I'd say maybe about a half of the same living space that they had before. They have it up to. There's some stuff that they just they don't have the money to fix it. And here we are almost a year later, and they're going to have to sue the city to get any money out of them. And the city's trying. I've been to some of these committee meetings where they're trying to create a reserve fund for catastrophic things. They're making an effort, but there's no money in where they're going to get the money for the catastrophic reserve fund. Who knows?
So if you're elected, you're going to help them out. How? Where's the money come from?
It's got to come from saving other places. It's got to come from efficiencies. That one is it's going to happen more and more. I believe. We saw those rains in the fall, flooding. The sewer system is, 75 years old, built for 50 years.
What do you do about that, though? I mean, do you Band-Aid it as things come up? Do you have some grand plan to renovate the infrastructure?
I think you have to Band-Aid as things come up, and then you have to figure out a way to pay for the sort of comprehensive plan. But between that and the roads, this job is an absolute... you don't want to be... This is not a great time to be running for mayor. I mean...
what everybody really wants to know is what kind of rides are you going to add at Bay Beach, though?
Oh, none. I'm just gonna make Slurpees cheaper.
So, but I mean, in all seriousness, though, those are the things that get headlines and get people talking.
Sure.
Not fixing sewers.
Yeah, those are they fall under the amenities.
Right. So do you think you can cut some of those things?
Amenities?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to.
Okay.
I mean, that's the Republicans, they always use that term austerity, but that's not really. They kind of make it living within your means, living within your budget. That's sort of what the city has to do. Do
you think that somebody can get elected saying that? Like saying that we have to live within our means, we have to tighten up.
Oh yeah, man.
Do you think that that's an electable standpoint?
Between that and not taking any money from
Don't we need to see
contributors,
pictures with your face with hope underneath?
Not for Green Bay. I mean, this is
No? You think people are more intelligent and understanding than that?
Yeah.
Okay.
People care about that. I mean, and it's only old timers that vote. So
Okay.
like
You think that they were more responsible and they
yeah, I don't think a 22-year-old's going to really hear that message that I have to. And we're on a podcast, so obviously it's going to get out to a ton of old timers. They love it. They got a Victrola and they just crank it around. And listen
I think you'd actually be surprised,
Sure.
but I think you'd also be surprised at how many politically active young people there are.
I probably would be.
Yeah.
that message of living within your means, that's a good one. Anybody that's offering something that's too good to be true, they need to be looked at with skepticism.
But isn't it just so easy to? They always say kick the can down the road, but they're not held. Nobody's held accountable for that ever.
That's
Nobody.
because they all want to have careers after being the mayor for a couple of years in politics.
Yeah, but they have to get elected in the first place.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if we don't tackle that problem, it's going to become a bigger problem, and it's going to destroy the city if it doesn't get addressed. And there's TIF and TID, and there's down the line we'll be getting more taxes from these places.
That's the theory, but we've been doing these TIF projects for a number of years.
Sure.
And the positive bank balance doesn't seem to be showing up when I hear there's tax increases on the horizon.
Not just yet. What tax increases are you talking about? 'Cause I've been on all these meetings. And
Yeah, they were talking that for next year's budget they have to increase taxes. Like this is a thing.
But there's no
we're gonna have to-
particular.
Nope.
There's no particular tax in place, or there's no proposal for a tax just yet.
But they're
It's
saying
just
they're all just like everybody's got to be ready. Things have been kicked down the can the can's been kicked down the road too far. So they've all been kind of preparing everyone for this. The responsible adults are in the room now.
I don't know how you can charge people more taxes for living in Green Bay, because why would you want to live here if you had to pay more tax? You'd move to Ashwaubenon. You'd move to Howard Suamico.
Yeah.
They're in a bad spot if they want to raise taxes, and that stuff is. The mayor has a philosophy on that kind of thing. He tries to have his people gives direction, but that stuff comes up through city council, and if the mayor's the tie vote breaker, but so you can't put it all on Schmidt that we've done.
No, I don't think anybody is. I think that they're saying it's city council's fault, not me on city council. It's other people on city council's fault.
Which is weird because the real vocal people on city council, other than Brian Johnson, are financial conservatives. Rob Nicholson.
Yeah. So they're not the ones saying that there is going to be an increase. I haven't heard any of those voices. So some of the other ones have been the ones saying, yeah.
When Galvin starts saying it, then because Galvin's like a guy that hates taxes, but is also lives in the real world.
Right.
So if he starts saying it, then it's gonna.
He said he's been through the budget. He said that to me. I've been through the budget. I don't know, fine tooth comb. I'm maybe paraphrasing there, right?
Oh yeah, I watch him at those.
And there's nothing to cut. There's nothing to cut. So I mean, he feels anyway that there are no reasonable cuts to be had. So do you have do you have an example of something you would cut?
Well, we fix our municipal vehicles and our police cruisers in separate locations. It's like why that is the case, I don't know. I mean, is there something special about the cops' cars that somebody that works in municipal cars can't fix? I don't know.
So you think there's some additional consolidation?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, if you want to have an event in Green Bay, you have to fill out a form, and you can go on their new website and find that form, but you can't fill out the form online. Right. You have to print it. Stuff like that is.
But aren't those all like small ball issues?
Yeah, those are small ball issues.
Are those worth like? There's big picture issues that are going to save X. Like, is there anything big you think you could knock off? And
to me, it's all about the small ball. I mean, it's literally, 4% here, 6% there.
Is that your new campaign slogan, Nick Mortensen?
Yeah,
it's all about
the small ball. No, I guess I want to seem big and important.
So
it's a smarter way of doing business.
So I like to keep these kind of brief. So okay. So let's take maybe 5 more minutes. And I don't know. You can elaborate on it if you did think of something that you think is cuttable. But do you have any? I mean, what's a positive thing that you would want to bring to the city,
I think that I got two things. One of them is going to seem wholly unrealistic, but it is not unrealistic. And the other, I'd have to raise a lot of money for, but I think would be my pet project. We need a downtown hacker makerspace.
We have some of those though.
We need a big one,
Okay.
and a nice one, and maybe on the other side of the building is where you're fixing all the municipal vehicles and the police vehicles too. But as long as the city owns equipment that it's not constantly in use,
We should be
that
leasing it out.
that equipment should be available to the public.
Okay.
And that it's not is sort of, if you want to give people more for their money, that's kind of how you have to start looking at things. Is say, hey, we got access to these databases. Now you have access to these databases. If it's being paid for with taxpayer money, it belongs to the taxpayer. And I don't think there's enough of that. That's for certain. The other thing I think is possible, you're going to laugh about this, but I've done the research. And municipal Wi-Fi, a wireless mesh network throughout the city, possible. Not completely impossible.
Okay, sure.
Possible. But we've never considered it before. We did some stuff down here, sure.
No, it was considered. It's too expensive, and there are already competitive service providers that are
Sure.
providing it at a pretty decent price. It would be really tough for the city to actually provide sustainable value because to take things back to the roads. Well, we fix 1% of the roads. Imagine fixing 1% of the Wi-Fi access points per year. Every 100 years you get new access points. That doesn't really work out too well. So I worry about things like that.
I would like to know exactly how too expensive it is. Because I don't think it necessarily is. And it's also something that could generate more revenue for the city.
How so?
Well, yeah, you pay a $70 charter tax every month, don't you?
Okay.
For internet? Well, what if you only had to pay the city $40?
And then how would the city pay for the lawsuit from Spectrum?
Well,
Because that's what happens when you have municipal.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. The thing about that is,
Don't hit me in my wheelhouse, man.
let me tell you, the thing about it is, if you make the announcement that you're looking at public Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
those contracts come up periodically for renegotiation.
Okay.
And guess what? If you're making some real strides and efforts at looking at municipal Wi-Fi, they become very willing to bump up your rate a little bit. So to me, that's the worst case scenario about making it. It's possible.
Yeah. But you'd like it to. Those are some things that you'd like to have investigated. At least.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the kind of stuff
reasonable.
that
That's reasonable.
if we're going to do an amenity, if we're going to do something like that, and municipal, that's more about a social justice issue than anything else. You need the internet if you're going to be going to school, elementary school around here. They have these little MiFi devices or MiBo devices. The kids that don't have internet, they bring home there.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Okay.
You can't. People should have internet in their house, and if they can't afford it,
I think there are subsidized things that can
Yeah.
already. So maybe it's a matter of just making sure those things are more known.
yeah, it's possible. That's one of the things that interests me about the city is since I've sort of done this study, I've just learned that there's so many resources available that you just I never really knew existed. And
That's where I have a problem with, adding new things. Any new thing that's like either a project or a tax, people don't know about it, and it's like these things just kind of there's just the volume of it is just so vast.
yeah.
Between just even between the city of Green Bay, the Green Bay Area Public School District, the county, the state, just what impacts us, not federal at all. There's an incredible. You could spend all.
It's
all
a
day.
fantastically complex, miasma, and that's the thing about it is like So, you run for mayor and, you're the guy that has never been in politics before. So you think, like, these guys must all know much more about this than I ever could. Why would I even want to compete with these guys? Don't know shit about it, man. Like, it's that complicated where it can't be known. Even the mayor can't know it. There's stuff that Schmidt has no idea about in this.
Yeah, it kind of has to be, right? Once you have an organization of a certain size, even you have a business of 400 employees, I'm sure there's things that one person takes care of that nobody else even knows about.
You're right, but it's a frightening notion that this is the position that is supposed to be on top of it all, and these are the candidates that we have for it. Slim pickings.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because it's just a job that is impossible to do. So any sane person is thought about it just got turned off by it.
So primary election is what date?
February the 19th.
Okay. And give your last pitch, and we'll call it done.
Well, I'd like you to vote for me. If for no other reason, then I'll make the election a lot more interesting. If you're looking into the people that are running for this position, give them some real scrutiny. And you will find many of them are quite lacking in ability or intelligence to do what's needed in this sort of thing.
And we didn't enumerate all of them, and I'd like them to have to come in here.
Sure, and I'm not saying that they're
their own case,
they're like dumb guys or they don't have the ability. It's just a very complex.
There's how many people running?
6 of us.
So 6 including you.
Yeah.
So 5 other people, and all guys.
All guys, all lily white guys. Most of them from the West Side.
So that's
a lot of cultural diversity. A couple of us are bald.
So
I'm the tallest by far.
Thanks for being on here, and you're the first. So hopefully you gave some fodder for everybody else to have to answer to a little bit, and
you're gonna have.
I'd like to have
entirely different experiences with those guys than you had here.
Well, I think you know what I mean. Knowing what I know about each of the people, I think each one. I think they're all different. So I think that's probably.
Yeah. I bet you Buckley will never come on.
Okay.
Do you think has he reached out to him at all?
I haven't reached out to anybody.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. He lives at the end of West Point, right? Like, if you go all the way up there, he's a hard guy to read, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to read anybody. I want to just get faces in front of the camera, some, words into the microphone, and let people see and hear what's up.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Let me come on.
I'm not trying to judge. I like seeing you work out at the gym. So yeah,
I do a lot of sweating. I am by far the sweatiest candidate in the race. Puddles.
In a good way. You're working out. You're not just randomly sweating. I sweat a lot when I'm at the gym too.
Oh God, I'm disgusting.
So that wraps it up. So if you guys would like to continue the conversation about sweat, puddles of sweat on the Blind Partisan.
Yeah, I've got more to say about sweat.
Then you can continue.
We're gonna have to take that off the air.
You can continue with me and Nick, and we'll be on the Blind Partisan Facebook group. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the little bell. You get notified when there's new episodes. Maybe the next one will have another mayoral candidate. Like Nick said, make sure to vote in February. And thanks for watching.